Let's be honest, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has become quite expensive. With issues of printing shortages due to COVID-19, we had the introduction of what has been termed the COVID sets. These sets include Eternity Code, Secret Slayers, and Rise of the Duelist. Within these boxes were introduced some extremely powerful archetypes such as the Eldritch and Dogmatica archetypes, and important staples such as Triple Tactics Talent and Forbidden Droplet. However, due to the hysteria from COVID, sales of these sets were small, and thus scarcity has caused key staples to reach prices of over $100. For new players to the game, or budget-oriented players, this may seem discouraging. However, I will seek to solve this issue. With each deck that's built, I will introduce budget options to certain expensive cards that will let you construct a competent deck for the price of what you would spend on a single costly staple. I would like to welcome you to the Budget Series. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Budget Series. Today in episode 4, we're going to be taking a look at the terror of 2017 format, which was True Dracos. The True Draco archetype consists of powerful tribute summonable monsters, each one having a when effect and also allows themselves to be tribute summoned to the field by tributing continuous spells or traps on the field. In Dynamite Knight's case, its when effect is, when a card is activated, you are allowed to add or activate a continuous True Draco trap from your deck. In Ignis Heat's case, it's a spell. And in Majesty Maiden's case, you are just allowed to add a True Draco monster from your deck to your hand. Since Masterpiece is banned, and we have Carved Demise, Dynamite Knight, and Dragonic Diagram all loaned, the deck has lost a lot of consistency, unfortunately. But in order to make up for this, we have to slow the board state, and with that, we'll be doing certain floodgates in order to halt our opponent's progress in building their own board. So that's a very simple explanation of the True Draco archetype in a nutshell, so let's get into the card by card. Hopefully you all will enjoy the physical cards, seeing as I actually have the deck, because I actually do have a better mount for my camera now. Enjoy! So let's get started. First off, we're going to run a single Dynamite Knight, the True Draco Fighter. I wish this card was back to 3, however it's still limited on the Forbidden and Limited list, and there's a good reason. It says, to tribute summon this face-up card, you contribute a continuous spell and trap you control instead of a monster. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control this tribute summon monster, quick effect. You can take one True Draco or True King continuous trap from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand. It's very important because oftentimes you want to be able to get your True King's Return or the Apocalypse and be able to interrupt your opponent's plays, and to also tribute summon another time during your opponent's turn. I wish it was back at 3, but hopefully it'll come off the Forbidden Limited list soon so this deck can do more. Next off, we're going to run triple Ignis Heat. This card is pretty good. In all honesty, if Dynamite was back to 3, I would be running Ignis Heat at 2 and Dynamite at 3. However, because there isn't too many True Dracos that are not limited, unfortunately, we have to run 3 of this. This one is the one that actually adds the continuous spell from your deck to your hand or either activates it. Next off, we're going to be running triple Majesty Maiden. We run 3 in order to boost the consistency because we need to see the Dynamite as fast as possible. Hopefully you have it in your opening hand, or you can get it off your Dragonic Diagram. But we run 3 Majesty Maiden just to be able to have consistency in it. Also, you can add Ignis Heat, and you might be able to get an additional tribute summon off during your opponent's turn. Next off is my tech choice of the day. I run a triple Fossil Dyna Pachycephalo. This card is a sleeper, to say the least. What it does and what it says is neither player can special summon monsters. When this card is flipped face up, destroy all special summon monsters on the field. So, if you're going first, oftentimes you'll tribute summon using the additional tributes from your spells and your traps, but if you're going first, it's going to be only from your spells, and you'll oftentimes end up with either a Dynamite or Majesty Maiden or a Ignis Heat on the field, and then you can use your normal summon on your Fossil Dyna and lock your opponent out of special summoning. They either have to normal summon something that's larger than 1200 and beat over it and waste their first battle phase, or they lose the game if they're only doing special summoning. good choice. You can run certain other things, but I think the Fossil Dyna is probably your best normal summon in the deck. And in addition to, these are going to be the last of the monsters, I'm going to be running 2 Ancamorphite. Unfortunately, Ancamorphite's effect kind of has some issues with your Card of Demise and your Pot of Duality, because you won't be able to special summon it from the extra deck because you're not allowed to special summon the turn that you use the Pot of Duality or the Card of Demise. However, it's worth it for the extra draw one because you can pen scale it, and since you have no monsters in your extra deck, you're allowed to basically pop it and then draw 1, and it helps with consistency. And you'll be able to carve Demise in the end, but if this is in your extra deck, you won't be able to use your Monarch's Erupt or anything. It kind of stinks, but it's a necessary evil in the deck. If we had Dynamite at 3, I'd take these 2 out, and then I would just put in 2 more Dynamite. That rounds off the monster lineup. I believe that we're running the 3 Pachycephalo, we're running the 3 Ignis Heat, we're running the 3 Majesty Maiden, and they're running the 2 Ancamorphite and the 1 Dynamite. So we're running 12 monsters in total in the deck. It's not much, but you'll see them more often than not. And mind you, if you set your Fossil Dyna and somebody attacks it, you're gonna destroy all their special summon monsters. So it's kind of a good trade-off if you don't have anything in your hand. Now we're going to go into the spell lineup. We're going to run a triple True Draco Heritage. What this states is, during your main phase, you can draw cards equal to the number of True Draco and True King card types, either normal, monster, spell, or trap, sent from the field to the graveyard this turn. During your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, tribute summon 1 True Draco or True King monster face up. If this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you can target 1 spell and trap on the field and destroy it. You can only use each effect once per turn. It's very important because it helps you go through your deck as fast as possible. Oftentimes, if you set a True Draco trap and you tribute summon by tribute summoning the trap, and then you activate True Draco Heritage, you get a draw 1 already. You kind of want to get as many of your True Draco cards off the field as fast as possible, be able to get the draw 3 from this to be able to have consistency. So it's a very important card, I'd say, for the deck. Next off, we're going to run a triple Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix. This is your Pot of Avarice for the deck. It helps shuffle in your True Draco cards that have already been spent and used, and you're able to draw 1 from it. It's not as good as the draw card as True Draco Heritage, but it's necessary since if you keep on popping your True Draco Heritages or your True Draco Phoenix, or like let's say they get rid of your whole entire back row, then you're able to shuffle the cards back into the deck and continue grinding, because this is a grind deck in the end of the day. It also has the effect to have an extra tribute summon, which is important, and it also pops a spell and trap when it leaves the field. So if during your opponent's turn you have a True Draco Apocalypse or the True King's Return, you can tribute summon using your Disciple of the True Draco Phoenix or your True Draco Heritage and pop one of their spells, which is pretty good because oftentimes if you're able to trigger that, you can also get rid of Mystic Mine, which is kind of a issue for certain decks. That rounds off most of the True Draco stuff. We're going to be running the triple Pot of Duality to just go through our deck. You know what it does. You're going to excavate 3, add 1 to your hand, and then shuffle the rest into the deck. And you can only activate 1 per turn, and you can't special summon the turn you activate this. Which isn't really important because all we're doing is tribute summoning constantly. But as I said, it can conflict with your Ancamorphite. However, it's really important because you can also use it to go into... You can try to find your Card of Demise as fast as possible. Then you set 4, tribute summon, Card of Demise, get 3 more, and then just continue from the... You go off the races from there. Next off, we're going to be running the double Monarch Stormforth. Monarch Stormforth is probably your best out to problematic cards in the deck. You can use it and on your opponent's turn to tribute summon using the trap, which can help get rid of stuff on their turn if you set it. But it also helps you get over certain things like Dragoon or Herald if they don't negate it. Because the thing is, if this is a negate bait, it's a negate bait to say the least. If they don't negate it with their Dragoon, you're going to tribute their Dragoon. If they don't negate it with their Herald, they're going to lose their Herald. So it just gets rid of any problematic card. It basically turns your True Dracos into Kaijus, which is really important. Next off, we're going to be running a lot of 1-ofs. So the biggest issue is we have Draconic Diagram at 1. So how do we fight that? How do we kind of get consistency and try to push our Draconic Diagram up to, say, 3? Well, we can pseudo have it at 3. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be running a single Terraforming. We're going to be running a single Domain of the True Monarch. We're going to be running a single Draconic Diagram. And then we're going to be running a single copy of Set Rotation. The Terraforming, of course, you know you're going to add your Draconic Diagram, or like, let's say you have Draconic Diagram in your hand. Then you can Terraforming for your Domain if you want to Domain lock them, because you don't play any cards in your extra deck. So depending upon the situation, you can either go for your Domain if you're already winning with card advantage and you don't want the Draconic Diagram, or if you really need the add, you can just go for the Draconic Diagram off the Terraforming. So that's the second copy of Draconic Diagram. The third copy is from your Set Rotation. Unfortunately, Set Rotation is dead if you draw the Domain in addition to the Set Rotation, and Set Rotation is a bad draw if you already have the Draconic Diagram or the Domain. So it's kind of iffy. You can get rid of the Set Rotation if you really want, but I run it in addition to the Domain so I can have multiple different play lines. Lastly, for the spells, we're going to be running a single Upstart, a single Carved Demise, and a single Harpies. You know what Upstart does? You draw 1, they get 1,000 health. So it basically turns your deck into 39 cards, and they just gain 1,000 health. The Carved Demise is probably the most important card in the deck for draw power, because it says, draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. Also, for the rest of the turn, after this card resolves, your opponent takes no damage. During the end phase of this turn, send your entire hand to the graveyard. You can only activate 1 Carved Demise per turn, and you cannot special summon during the turn you activate this card. It's really important to be able to get your draws, so I know, I wish it was at 3. At 3 it would be too powerful though, so it's limited unfortunately. Then we run the single Harpies Feather Duster, because if we really need back row removal, the getting rid of the spells, the True Draco spells, like tributing them, it might not be enough, so the Harpies is always good. And that rounds up the spell lineup for the deck. Next off, we're going to have our trap lineup. We're going to be running double True Draco Apocalypse. What this card says is, if this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you can target 1 monster in the field and destroy it. You cannot activate the following effects of the True Dracos in the same chain. You can target 1 True Draco or True King card you control, destroy it, and if you do, the attack and defense of all face-up monsters your opponent controls become half their current attack, even if this card leaves the field. So it's like a permanent attack and defense reduction, which is very strong. It'll allow you to get over most things, especially because it's non-targeting, so you can like have Dragoon's attack or have the attack of any problematic like big monster. And in addition to that, we also have, during our opponent's main phase, we can immediately after this effect resolves, tribute summon 1 True Draco or True King monster face up. So you can actually, what you can do is, if you have a True Draco Apocalypse, and like let's say you have the one of the True Draco or True King spells, you can activate the True Draco Apocalypse effect, pop the spell, have their attack, and then pop one of their spells, and then you can tribute summon using this True Draco Apocalypse, and then pop another one of their monsters. It's pretty strong. It's probably one of your better traps. We only run 2 because it's going to be a brick if we see 3. Next off, we're going to run double True King's Return. It is the monster reborn of the deck. Every turn, we can target 1 True Draco or True King monster in our graveyard and special summon in defense. And also for the rest of the turn, we cannot special summon. And then during our opponent's phase, we can tribute summon again. And then this also pops a monster if it leaves the field. Unfortunately, your monsters won't get their effects because they have to be tribute summoned in order to have their effects. So this kind of just allows us to have free fodder with the True Draco Apocalypse. What we'll do is we'll bring back a True Draco with the return, and then pop it with the Apocalypse to half them. That's oftentimes what you'll continue doing, and that's how you outgrind them. Next off, we're going to run some Floodgates. We're going to run a triple Rivalry of the Warlords. It's strong. It's good for tribal decks because all we play is worms. Anchomorphite's a spellcaster, but that's not going to be too important because we can still pop it for the one draw. But the fact is that Rivalry is very strong in the sense that we have only worms. A lot of these decks with, like, let's say Tri-Brigade, they have 3 different types of monsters, so it really hurts them because they can't have all 3 on the field at once, because you can only control one type of monster, and they have to send all the rest of the to the graveyard. So what we can do is we can tribute summon out a bunch of our True Dracos. We can set our Pachycephalo, and since we set it, it's not considered a monster on the field yet, or like it doesn't have a type, so we can set it. And if they attack the face down, it's just going to pop their whole field. So it's actually pretty good to have the Rivalry out. Lastly, to finish off the deck profile, sorry for that glare, this lamp is very bad. We're going to be running a triple Monarch's Erupt. What Monarch's Erupt says is, activate this card only if you have no cards in your extra deck and control tribute summon monster. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field while those monsters are face-up on the field, except tribute summon monsters. During your end phase, if you control no tribute summon monsters, send this card to the graveyard. So as long as we get a True Draco out on the field, because they're going to be tribute summoned, we'll be able to basically skill drain our opponent's field, and we don't have to deal with it because we're all tribute summon monsters. This is one of the better floodgates in the deck. I think that the Monarch's Erupt is necessary to be able to play it, and it helps you slow down the board state, and unfortunately it doesn't really do much against, let's say, Drytron, because of the fact that a lot of their stuff resolves on the graveyard or in the hand, but it's still enough to be able to stop most decks. It stops Tri-Brigade in its tracks because they can't do the special summon from the extra deck because they have monsters on the field. So that about covers it. This entire deck profile was probably, if I remember, $40? I think it was a little bit less because I splurged on some rarities, but I'll be posting in the description the link to the deck profile, and you guys will be able to see the price of the cards by yourself. I hope you all enjoy, and I hope you all have a great week. I'll hopefully make another one of these budget videos very soon. It was very hard to put this one out due to exams, but I hope you all enjoyed. And hopefully this camera setup was better for you all and not as shaky and not as unclear. I hope you all have a great week and see you next time. Goodbye.